Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at the 2018 Senate elections and talking about the states most likely to flip from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. So as you see on our screen right now, we have the current composition of the United States Senate. Looking at the map nationwide, you can see the current, again, composition with 51 Republicans and 49 Democrats. But just go ahead and look at the contested map for 2018. So today we're going to be going ahead and look at a number of these states, but there are a few notable ones, especially since we are focusing on states that are most likely to flip from the Republicans to the Democrats, essentially areas where the Democrats are looking for pickups, and a lot of you can essentially guess which states these might be. Before, two of these states were never even competitive. When they had 2016 rolled around and the 2016 election occurred, only around two of these states were actually mentionable that could actually become competitive, and the Democrats do need 2 seats. But now we actually have 4 viable chances where the Democrats do have a clear shot at winning, just it may not be in the majority. So some of these are more likely to flip than others, but let's go ahead and start off with our state that is least likely to flip out of our 4, and that is the state of Texas. Right now, the state of Texas is the 4th most likely state to flip, which is not bad for Democrats considering Texas is a Republican stronghold with a mildly popular Republican senator, actually a very popular Republican senator compared to other senators across the United States. Senator Ted Cruz going for re-election in 2018. Keep in mind he ran in the 2016 presidential election race and lost to, of course, our current president, Donald Trump. And he has a 49% approval rating and a 34% disapproval rating. But right now, the Texas Senate race is actually getting a little bit contested. He's currently leading in opinion polls by 9 to 12%. But again, that's a lot less than what Republicans should be winning in here, too. It also shows a little bit more of a trend from what we saw from 2012 in the presidential election, where Mitt Romney won here by more than 15%, down to 9% with a Donald Trump victory across the United States. Keep in mind, Donald Trump won his election and Mitt Romney did not. But the state of Texas right now is the 4th most likely state to flip, with a challenging Democrat, one that I could actually win on the Democratic side, and of course the prominent Republican that everybody knows across the state of Texas. The Democrats definitely do have an uphill climb, and they aren't looking too good in opinion polling, but the fact that Texas, combined with a number of other things that help the Democrats, being in a Democratic wave year, a number of new minority voters, a number of new young voters, and overall a bunch of inspired voters that typically lean towards the Democratic Party due to firm opposition to the President of the United States. The Democrats look like they have a real shot at winning in a state like Texas, but right now may not be the time. But again, it could happen, and it's not impossible compared to other states where Nebraska and Wyoming are never going to flip in a while. I mean, unless there's someone extremely popular from the Democratic side, don't expect much. So Texas, we're going to land narrowly in the Democratic column. So that puts the Democrats at 50 seats. Where does the other 3 come from, considering that we have a total of 4 seats that could flip from the Republican side? So we've gone past Texas. You know, the third option was a little bit conflicting because there were some states where the polls are very tight. I mean, tight between the Democratic and the Republican candidates. But right now, even though the Democrats are consistently leading in opinion polling here, this is the 3rd most likely state to flip, and that is the state of Tennessee. Right now, the state of Tennessee, with a former governor who left office with higher than a 70% approval rating, Phil Bredesen is currently on the Democratic side. Keep in mind, he won his re-election bid in 2006, winning every single county across the state as a Democrat. I understand 2006 was a Democratic wave year, which makes all the more the reason why he could win in a Democratic wave year again in 2018. So when we talk about his Republican candidate, we have Marsha Blackburn, who is a United States representative from the state of Tennessee. And right now, this race really shouldn't be competitive. If Bob Corker was the nominee, then it might be competitive. But right now, since this is an open seat, the power of the incumbency is not too great in this race. Right now, Tennessee is one of those states that would probably only flip for certain candidates. If this was any other Democrat, we would not be talking about the state of Tennessee whatsoever. It would be characterized with Mississippi and a couple of other states. I don't want to give away too much here, but I'm pretty sure you all know where I'm leading into this after I finish Tennessee. So right now, Tennessee has a real possibility of flipping, even more than Texas. And right now, the Democrat, Phil Bredesen, is leading in every single opinion poll. And Donald Trump isn't doing too well in opposition to Phil Bredesen. When he called him a corporate raider and a Nancy Pelosi puppet, I mean, that really did not help whatsoever for the Republicans. Keep in mind, the president, yes, he may be inaccurate on some things, but this was completely off the charts. This was something that was not expected, considering that Phil Bredesen, number one, couldn't be a Nancy Pelosi puppet. I mean, around the same time she got into power, technically with the House of Representatives going into her column, he was a reelected governor. So that really did not make an impact, considering that so many Tennesseans, I guess that's what they're called, Phil Bredesen was extremely popular among them. That would not be able to resonate. I mean, taking someone who's extremely popular and in their own way, an amazing governor for the Democrats, and calling him someone who's a Nancy Pelosi puppet, that doesn't really help the Republican candidate. I do believe that Donald Trump should be focusing on boosting up the Republican and turning out the voters, and not focusing on just bashing the Democrat, because, again, that works in some races, but not in a race where this candidate is known locally and throughout the state, whereas other races, like in Texas, it could work, because Ted Cruz is already known, but Marsha Blackburn is not more known than Phil Bredesen, considering he was a former governor, and that is a statewide race, and doesn't really have a national implication based off the results. So Tennessee being that other state that flips to the Democrats. So now the Democrats take the majority in the United States Senate. Clearly, I'm not saying all these states will flip. I'm just saying that it's very likely in certain ways that these states could flip. So we move on to our second most likely state to flip. And this one may be a little bit of a surprise, but the state of Nevada, with the incumbent Senator Dean Heller, who has a negative approval rating right now. Senator Dean Heller is not too liked in the state of Nevada, and he is running for re-election. He didn't face too much primary opposition, unlike many people speculated, but right now Nevada currently is a Democratic state from 2016, 2012, and 2008. This state has held its Democratic identity, with the Republican Party targeting it every election year, but to no avail, not winning the state whatsoever. And even in a Republican-wave year like 2016, Donald Trump was not able to carry the state of Nevada. In fact, he was leading in opinion polling leading up into the 2016 election, and he lost the state of Nevada. But right now, Nevada is one of those states that could have a real possibility of flipping, being a formerly Democratic state with an unpopular Republican incumbent, with a popular representative from the 3rd District in Nevada. In a Democratic wave year, everything just seems right for a Democratic victory in Nevada. So that puts the Democrats at 52 and the Republicans at 48. So we go on to our final state. I'm pretty sure you can all figure out which one this is, and that is the state of Nebraska. Well, actually, no, Arizona. But yeah, so Arizona, that's one that we've been focusing on a lot in these election predictions. Arizona, Nevada, and Tennessee, those 3 states that always flip back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats, with a couple of other Democratic seats. But on the Republican side, these are the 3 main states the Democrats are targeting, and for good reason. Arizona, currently the Democratic challenger, that is not, of course, the incumbent, because this is a Republican seat. Actually, the Republican incumbent is retiring with a 32% approval rating. Not good for someone who almost ran for re-election. He originally was running, and then he dropped out, and then started having firm opposition to the president, which doesn't make the case better for his re-election. But of course, he's not running for re-election in Arizona, one of those key Republican states that actually show opposition to the president compared to other states which fully back him. So Arizona right now, the Democratic challenger, Kristen Sinema, leads all of her Republican opponents. Some by double digits, some by over 20%. Okay, the front runner on the Republican side is losing by 8 to 7 to 10, whatever. It's in the high single digits against a Republican challenger, and that's good for Democrats. I mean, considering that a state like Arizona, which was previously, again, another solidly Republican state, like Texas, like Tennessee, now have a real possibility of flipping from the Republican side due to the opposition to the president, due to the opposition to the incumbent, the incumbent, yeah. And when we talk about political fatigue, that happens in a number of these states as well. When we go to the presidential level, these are Democratic states, or these are solidly Republican states. But then when it comes to Senate level, the senatorial level, I guess that's what it's called, they start to get tired, and they find new candidates, new inspiring candidates, and all of a sudden they want to vote for the opposition party, just as I saw in my state of Maryland in 2014, or you saw in Massachusetts in 2014, or like we saw in a number of other races, like in 2016, whether it be a statewide race or a presidential race like in the Rust Belt. Again, party fatigue definitely does kick in. It doesn't always align with the presidential column, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it's definitely a real thing. When we go over to Arizona, right now the Democrats again have a real possibility with everything on their side, especially since Arizona is in the Sun Belt, which Democrats target very heavily now, and also, again, a number of immigrant voters and minority voters. So that's going to be something that's going to be used a lot by Democrats in their favor, of course, and Republicans are going to need to worry about, because again, their whiter base, the one that white voting base, is starting to dissipate. And not just to the Democratic Party, but there are new voters coming in that aren't white. And again, most minority voters vote Democratic. And yes, they may align with some conservative policies coming from areas like Puerto Rico or some other areas or like Cuba. But again, most of them typically vote Democratic, and Arizona probably wouldn't have those conservative Latino voters, whereas Florida might. So actually, we're going to talk about Florida in another video in the states that are most likely to flip to the Republican Party from the Democratic Party. That's going to be one that's going to be pretty interesting. You might be surprised or not agreeing with some of my picks, but sorry about that. The state of Arizona goes to the Democrats, finishing off our map at 53 Democrats and 47 Republicans. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.